Hello, Aaron. Corey Schubert here. Thank you for your time and consideration. I realize it's the middle of the semester and your time is quite precious. So, this presentation should take about 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm really excited for the opportunity. Earlier this semester, you had expressed your need for a supplemental book to complement your textbook for advanced sales that you teach at Fox Valley Technical College. Now, I want to say hands down that How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is the best solution you could possibly have. And I'm hoping that after discussing some of the features and benefits of this book by Dale Carnegie, you are going to be willing to present it to the school board for approval of your curriculum. Supplemental book. I understand that Fox Valley Technical College is going to have a standard requirement for the books that are accepted. They're going to need to have a credibility of the book and the author. It needs to have useful content for sales. It also needs to be easy to read and relatable for today's current students. It also can't be too lengthy because the students are going to have to be able to read the book within the semester and present their findings or what the book has meant to them. So I would like to start with building credibility for Dale Carnegie. As he started in sales, Dale Carnegie was a true rags to riches story. He was born into a poverty farm in Missouri. So after he would work on the farm all morning, then he would go do his sales job, selling correspondence courses to the local ranchers. After this, he began to sell bacon and soap and lard for the Armour Company. He became very successful at this. He actually helped his sales territory become the national leader for the firm. Dale Carnegie also became a teacher. His first lecture was at a local YMCA back in 1912. It was a presentation on public speaking. And around this time, he realized the average American's desire to have more self-confidence. So this was kind of the platform that Dale Carnegie had focused on. Something interesting about Carnegie, his real last name is spelled Negey, and he changed it to Carnegie, Negie, because at that time, Andrew Carnegie was highly recognized. So he kind of rode on the coattail of Andrew Carnegie, got a lot of fame because of that relation. But he was not related to him. 2 years after he had started his lectures, by about 1914, Dale Carnegie was earning $500 a week. In today's time, that's about $10,000 a week. That's a lot of money. So he was obviously very successful at selling his courses and understanding the self-confidence that Americans were searching for. By 1916, he was easily able to rent the Carnegie Hall for lecture, and he packed the place. Everybody was coming to see him. He also started the Dale Carnegie Institution. It's a world-renowned, credited institution. At the time of Carnegie's death, there were over 450,000 students that have graduated through his course. And around now, it's about 8 million people have completed his courses. It's quite an impressive program. A little bit more about Carnegie. He's wrote about 7 books. The one we're highlighting, a bestseller, How to Win Friends and Influence People, wrote in 1936. Right when it debuted, it was the bestseller. A book by the time Dale Carnegie had passed on, that book had sold over 5 million copies and was written in over 31 languages. How impressive is that? So something you might be thinking, Aaron, is can today's students relate to a book that was written 75 years ago? That's a pretty old book, but Time magazine actually listed it number 19 of 100 most influential books of 2011. This shows that the new versions or the edited versions have kept up with current time, but also have not lost that message that Dale Carnegie has wrote. So some of the principles that are taught in How to Win Friends and Influence People: 12 principles to win people to your way of thinking. And he also offers 9 principles for leadership. And to relate this to sales, the purpose of sales is to discover a need and present some offerings to satisfy that need, and then to continue to confirm the need until a purchase decision has been made. And a really neat quote by Dale Carnegie is that no one really wants to buy anything, but everybody is very interested in solving their problems. So I believe that the principles within How to Win Friends and Influence People provides your students with the tools and confidence to become successful at sales. Some of the advice that Dale gives is to avoid arguments, show respect for other people's opinions, and get that person saying yes, and to keep them talking, just let them roll, and to be empathetic and see from the other person's side of you. And when you do have that idea, you should really dramatize it and make it really, really pop. And hopefully you can get that other person to believe that that idea was actually theirs, take ownership in it. I'd like to share a favorite story with you. Covers Principle 3, which is basically stating that your name is the most important thing to you. The story is about Andrew Carnegie. As a young boy, he had found a mama bunny who ended up having babies. And he didn't have any money or food to feed these babies, so he gathered up the local kids in his neighborhood and told them, if you go pick food for these bunnies, I will name each one of them after you, kind of like a legacy. So he was able to get all the kids to pick food for these rabbits that he owned. He had the rabbits, and they're getting the food for him. He was basically getting other people to do the work for him. It was brilliant. And Dale is able to relate this story to Andrew Carnegie's future in the steel business. He moves to Pennsylvania, where the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad is J. Edgar Thomson. So Andrew Carnegie goes there and opens a steel mill and names it Edgar Thomson Steel Works. Now, where do you think J. Edgar Thomson is going to purchase his steel when he needs it? Of course, he's going to Edgar Thomson Steel Works. It's just a brilliant way of putting stories together. And again, the stories that are written in this book, they're just tastefully written. They support the main principle, and it's very neat how he can tell a story about a remarkable person like Andrew Carnegie or Abraham Lincoln and relate it to a common day person or an experience that he's had. And it just shows that whether people are extremely famous or just common folk, that we all have that same need or feeling of importance. And he had stated, quote, what gives feeling of importance basically determines your character. So if you know what is important to someone, if you can discover that, you can ultimately discover or find a way to get them to go with what sales you're providing. So hopefully, as I've offered these features and benefits, you are willing to bring that recommendation to your board. Aaron, I know you had said that this is one of your favorite sales books, and it is mine as well. So I'm hoping that I can meet with you in a few days, give you a couple copies of the books, so that you can provide books to your board when you make this recommendation. And hopefully they will agree that this is by far one of the best books. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, #1 choice. Thank you again for your time and consideration.